The rain battered the windows of the Brooklyn diner. But inside, the air was thick with the scent of coffee and the ghosts of old wounds. I sat in a corner booth, staring at the man across from me, his broad shoulders hunched, his eyes red and raw. Ethan Caldwell, my high school tormentor, was actually crying and calling me his. For years ago, Ethan Caldwell was the king of Lincoln High, a private school in upstate New York where wealth and status ruled. His sharp jawline and quarterback swagger made him untouchable. A golden boy who could do no wrong except to me. I was Julian Harper, the quiet kid with paint-stained fingers and a secret I buried deep. I was gay, and I was terrified of anyone finding out. High school was a battlefield, and Ethan was my personal war. He'd corner me in the locker room, his voice dripping with venom as he called me freak or worse, his friends snickering behind him. Once, he shoved me against a wall so hard my sketchbook spilled across the floor. Pages of my drawings me heart-torn under his sneakers. I hated him, but worse, I was drawn to him. A cruel irony that kept me awake at night, sketching his face in secret, cursing my own heart. Now, at 22, I was back in New York City, a junior at NYU studying art, trying to build a life where I could be myself. I'd grown into my lanky frame, my dark curls no longer hiding my face, my confidence hard-earned through years of therapy and self-discovery. To come out, found friends who loved me, and started to believe I was enough. But Ethan, he was a ghost I'd left behind, or so I thought. That night, I was sketching in my favorite diner, the neon sign buzzing softly, when the door chime rang. I looked up, and there he was, Ethan, older but unmistakable, his blonde hair damp from the rain, his green eyes searching the room until they landed on me. My heart stopped. He walked over, his steps hesitant, like he was approaching a wounded animal. "Julian," he said, his voice low, almost breaking. "Can I sit?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to scream, but something in his eyes' desperation maybe made me nod. He slid into the booth, his hands fidgeting, and I noticed the scars on his knuckles. New since high school. "I've been looking for you," he said. I need to talk." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "You've got some nerve, Caldwell." "I know," he whispered, and then, to my shock, tears welled in his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Julian, for everything." I froze. This wasn't the Ethan I knew. The Ethan I knew didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He didn't look at me like I was the only thing keeping him from falling apart. But here he was, broken, raw, and calling me his like it was a prayer. Ethan's apology hung in the air like smoke, impossible to ignore but hard to trust. I leaned back, crossing my arms, my sketchbook open between us, a half-finished portrait of a stranger staring up. "Why now?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. "Why after all this time?" He wiped his eyes, his hands trembling. "I've been trying to find you for years. After high school, I fell apart. My dad kicked me out when I came out, said I was a disgrace. I blinked. Came out." He nodded, his gaze dropping to the table. "I'm gay, Julian. I knew it back then, but I couldn't face it. I hated myself, so I took it out on you." The words hit like a punch. Ethan Caldwell, the golden boy, was gay. And he'd known it while he was making my life hell. I wanted to hate him more, but the pain in his voice was real, and it cracked something inside me. You think that excuses what you did? I snapped. You made me feel like nothing. I know, he said, his voice breaking. I was a coward. I saw you. So brave. So, you. And I was jealous. I wanted to be near you, but I didn't know how. So I hurt you instead. I stared at him, my mind reeling. The diner's hum faded, and all I could hear was my own heartbeat. I remembered the times I'd catch him watching me in class, his eyes lingering a second too long. I thought it was malice. But now, was it something else? I don't expect forgiveness, he continued. But I needed you to know. You were the only real thing in my life back then, even if I didn't deserve you. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to walk away, to leave him with his guilt. But another part, the part that still sketched his face in moments of weakness, wanted to understand. What do you want, Ethan? I asked finally. He looked up, his eyes locking onto mine. A chance. To make it right. To know you. I laughed again. But it was softer this time. More confused than angry. You don't even know me. I want to, he said. And the sincerity in his voice made my chest ache. We talked until the diner closed, the rain slowing to a drizzle outside. He told me about his life after high school, the scholarship he lost, the years working odd jobs, the therapy that helped him face his truth. I told him about my art, my friends, the pride I'd fought for. It was strange, sharing space with him, like stepping into a dream I'd tried to forget. As we left, he hesitated at the door. Can I see you again? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't answer. Not yet. But I gave him my number. And when he smiled a real, unguarded smile, I felt something shift inside me. The next few weeks were a blur of late-night texts and cautious meetings. Ethan was different now. Softer, but still carried the weight of his past. We met in parks, coffee shops, anywhere neutral, where I could keep my guard up. But every time he laughed or brushed my hand by accident, I felt that old pull, the one I'd hated myself for in high school. One night, we walked through Central Park, the cherry blossoms in bloom, their petals drifting like snow. I used to draw these, I said, nodding at the trees. They reminded me of second chances. He stopped, his breath catching. Do you believe in them? Second chances. I looked at him, his face lit by the fading sunlight. And I saw the boy who'd hurt meaned the man who was trying to be better. I don't know, I admitted. But I'm here, aren't I? He reached for my hand, then stopped, like he was afraid I'd pull away. Julian, he said, his voice thick. You were always the one I couldn't forget. Even when I hated myself. I loved you. The words stole my breath. Love. It was too big, too heavy for what we were now. But when I looked into his eyes, I saw the truth. He meant it. And maybe, in some twisted way, I'd loved him too, even when it hurt. I don't know if I can do this, I said, my voice shaking. You broke me, Ethan. How do I trust you? You don't have to, he said, stepping closer. Just let me try. Let me show you. He reached out again, and this time, I didn't pull away. His fingers brushed mine, warm and tentative, And for a moment, the world was just us, standing under the cherry blossoms, caught between past and possibility. But the past wasn't done with us. A week later, I got a call from an old high school friend. "Mia. Julian. Be careful," she said. "I saw Ethan at a bar last night, and he was with some guy. They looked close." My stomach dropped. Was this all a lie? Was Ethan playing me, just like he had back then? I confronted him that night, my voice sharp with betrayal. "Who were you with, Ethan? Don't lie to me." He looked stricken. "It was my cousin, Julian. He's in town for a week. I swear, I'm not that guy anymore." I wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at me. I told him I needed space, and he nodded, his eyes wet again. "I'll wait," he said. "As long as it takes." Days turned into weeks, and I wrestled with my heart. I painted, pouring my confusion onto canvas. Images of cherry blossoms and broken lockers, of Ethan's face then and now. My friends urged me to move on, to protect myself. But I couldn't shake him. Not again. One evening, I went to an art gallery opening. My first solo show. I'd invited Ethan, half hoping he wouldn't come. But there he was, standing by my painting of a boy under a cherry tree. His eyes locked on it like it held his soul. "This is me, isn't it?" he asked when I approached. I nodded. "It's us. All of it." He turned to me, tears streaming down his face. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. But I'm trying. Julian. I'm trying so hard to be someone you could love." I stepped closer, my heart pounding. "You don't get to decide what I deserve," I said. "But you need to understand something. If we do this, it's not just a second chance. It's a new start. No more lies. No more games. I promise," he whispered, and when he reached for my hand, I let him take it. We stood there, surrounded by my art, by the pieces of my heart I'd put on display. The crowd faded, and it was just us. Two broken boys who'd found their way back to each other. I didn't know if I could forgive him completely. Not yet. But I knew I wanted to try. Months later, we sat on that same bench in Central Park. The cherry blossoms long gone, but the memory of them alive in us. Ethan rested his head on my shoulder, his hand in mine. "You're mine," he murmured. Not possessive but reverent, like he couldn't believe it was real. "And you're mine," I said, my voice steady now. We'd built something new, not from the ashes of high school but from the courage to face them. It wasn't perfect, but it was Arsa love born from pain, tempered by forgiveness, and strong enough to last.